Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. It's our live show today. It's Friday, December the 22nd, our last show before Christmas. We hope each and every one of you is enjoying a happy and safe holiday season thus far. And from all of us here at the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel and GamblersWorld.net, we wish you all a very Merry Christmas. I'm joined today once again by my cohorts in crime, Mr. Sean Higgs and Mr. Jesse Schule. All of us of GamblersWorld.net, where you'll find 10 of the finest handicappers in the country, folks. And some great guarantees are going on at GamblersWorld.net. I should say guarantee that if you don't win, you don't make a profit with us when you purchase any single game or multi-game daily package. You will get your account credited back the exact amount of the money you purchased. So, again, folks, that's gamblersworld.net. We also have our 12 days of savings going on right now that correlates with the 12 days of Christmas. Not exactly in the time frame, but you know what the idea is. And right now, today, which is day 10, there's only 3 days left in this special. Buy 3 days from any handicapper and get Christmas Day free. And don't forget, there's 3 Christmas Day NFL games going on. So if you purchase a 3-day package today, you'll not only get your 3 days for the price of $175, but you will also get $99, but you will also get a Christmas Day absolutely free. So there you have 4 days for the price of 3. And don't forget our college football bowl special, still $2.99 right now. Still a lot of bowl action to be played. We saw only one game last night. It was a terrible one. There was no games on Wednesday, which means there's still over 30 games left to be played in the college football bowl season, and you can get our college football bowl package not only for myself, Sean Higgs, and Jesse Schule, but every handicapper at the site right now, and you'll get our guarantee on that as well, folks. If you don't win, you don't make a profit, we will credit your account back the exact amount which you paid for this particular package. All right, Sean, how are you, man?
Pretty good. I was excited because I had South Florida in a no-doubt ratter last night. Although I did like the over a little bit too as well, but not as much as South Florida and on the money line there. It's good offense. We talked about them. They put up, 30-plus in half their games. We knew they were going to drop a 40-piece on Syracuse. Was I expecting a shutout? No, but, hey, I don't care. I'd take a nice win in the bowls, and I got 19 more bowl winners ready to go. I got another one up for tonight. I got 12 NFL for the weekend. Stuffing that stocking with winning tickets for sure.
Yep, I have the winner in the Gasparilla Bowl up tonight as well. You can get that over at gamblersworld.net, 15-7 with my bowl pick since last year. And what a dud that was last night. I'm glad for Sean, Jesse. I don't know if you had any action going on that game, but people in Western New York here, Syracuse fans, we can't wait to get on to next year because so far Fran Brown is bringing in he's done a tremendous job in just a 3-week period of time. Right now, Syracuse's recruiting class is ranked 34th nationally. And that includes bringing Kyle McCord over at quarterback from Ohio State. I know you're not a big Kyle McCord fan, Jesse, if I'm not mistaken.
You got to put it in perspective, Ross. I was saying for Ohio State, and you got to remember their last 3 quarterbacks were Justin Fields, C.J. Stroud, and who was it? Dwayne Haskins. Perennial Heisman Trophy candidates. And then you go to Kyle McCord. So, for a team like Syracuse, obviously an upgrade from Garrett Schrader, perhaps.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I would think so. Garrett Schrader was a 4-star coming out of college or coming out of high school, but he never lived up to that 4-star billing. He was an okay quarterback, but McCord was a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school in Jersey. And like Jesse just said, his number, we're going to be talking about Ohio State shortly anyway, but like Jesse just said, Sean, his numbers at Ohio State weren't that bad this year. The bottom line is what Jesse said. You're comparing him to the Barrett and the rest of them guys that have come out of Ohio State, and it's an unfair comparison in a lot of ways. But
yeah, they're different teams, different offensive players around them. Okay, Harrison's there, but it's still I don't want to hear like, oh, they got a bunch of NFL guys.
Yeah,
doesn't mean they're good. I mean, a lot of teams have, USC had an NFL quarterback. How'd they do? Just because you have one guy does not mean that you need some guys around them. And I think maybe nice little change there. Maybe he doesn't like playing outdoors. Maybe playing in the dome will help his numbers. It's good pickup for Syracuse. And the fact that Florida State and Clemson and Miami want to go to the SEC or Big Ten or wherever, maybe Syracuse dominates the ACC. Who knows?
Nah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, look, if this guy recruits at the rate he's recruiting right now, not only did he bring in McCord, he brought in, several other 4-star players via the transfer portal or the class of 2024. So kudos to them. But we are going to be talking about Ohio State, Missouri today. That'll be my game to discuss. That's the Cotton Bowl. Jesse will be looking at Clemson and Kentucky in the Gator Bowl. And Sean will be looking at Notre Dame and Oregon State in the Sun Bowl. But we already see some questions and comments coming in, and let's get right to them. And we encourage all of you out there. A lot of you like to chime in, on these archives, but with your comments, and we welcome that, no doubt about it. But here's your opportunity. I don't know who out there doesn't like to voice a comment, a question, or concern, and is not happy with an immediate response. So I'm one of those people. I think I could speak for Jesse and Sean when I say that as well. But here we go. All right. The Nature Boy says, Merry Christmas and God bless. We wish you the same back, my man. Pounded Sports, Sean shaved, excuse me.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Some will say he's not only shaved his face, but he knows how to shave points when he gets down early. So Daily Best Bets with T-Money. Hey, T-Money, what's going on, my man? Happy Friday, gentlemen. Same to you, my brother.
Robert Morris live.
All right. Just bet Robert Morris plus 108 live and took Texas A&M Corpus Christi against
23.5.
Yeah, against Texas.
I'm shocked he took 23.5 and not just take T-Money is good for taking like plus 380 money lines and them coming in. This is a little steeper. Sometimes I got to warn them, like, listen, you're going to timeout if you say you're crazy taking money lines here. But I don't hate that because Texas to me is. I thought they'd be good. They got what's his name, Max Abras from Oral Roberts, and he was a scoring machine up there. Obviously, step up competition in the Big 12, but man, that whole team has not performed well. I mean, they got wrecked by Marquette. I mean, you couldn't stay within 10 of Marquette.
Yeah, well, Marquette's pretty good too.
I don't know.
They do have some of that. Losses,
they need some of that football talent on the basketball court, apparently.
Absolutely.
Spread that no money to the hardwood.
Any take on that matchup, Jesse, or to Robert Morris?
Yeah, no, we did break down Texas a couple weeks ago, and I said that I think this guy Absmus is perhaps stepping into a little bit more of a challenging situation in the Big 12 than he would have seen at Oral Roberts. But that being said, immediately following that breakdown, I think he dominated that game we were talking about. But I agree with Sean. Texas does look like a team that you don't want to be backing minus 23.5 right now.
Yeah, I mean, in his defense, too, okay, he got off to a slow start. I think that was just a chemistry issue because the kid has proven he can play against big-time competition.
Yeah.
I mean, Oral Roberts, I think they were number 13 or 14 seed that got to the Elite Eight that year. And he was
a Florida team, I think, that year. They're pretty good.
Yeah, so in any event, happy Friday, gentlemen. Daily Best Bets with T-Money. We already got to that.
Keep going. There you go. Not much on the bone.
Not much on the bone for Friday. I did have plus 350 last week in here.
You did.
All right. My man T-Money. John Putnam. Hey, guys, Merry Christmas to you all. Don't get no coal this weekend. All presents. Enjoy always. Yes. We hope we have Christmas every day when we handicap each card on a daily basis. But, John, we do our best to always give out gifts and not coal. How do you guys feel about FSU filing paperwork to leave the ACC. I can't blame them. I mean,
Here's the thing, Ross, though. Okay,
Yeah.
so everybody's going to the SEC. So here's the dilemma now. You're going to have a bunch of teams in the SEC that are going to go 10-2 or 9-3 and be like, well, they got to be in the playoff because they're playing a team. They lost to a team that's ranked number 3. So again, we're going to have 8 SEC teams, 4 teams from the Big Ten, and nobody else in the playoff because if you lose to a team that's ranked higher than you, then you got to be good. So here comes the water down. This is like the NCAA tournament. Oh, they're 17-13, but they played in the Big 12 and lost to Kansas and Texas Tech and Baylor and A&M and all these teams that are ranked in the top. Stop with that crap. Stop it.
No, you got a point, Sean. I see what you're saying. And you know, the last I checked, there's a school called Clemson that's won a couple national titles in recent years. And
they're leaving too, they said.
They're leaving. They're leaving or they're filing to leave.
They want to go, the same.
Yeah,
whatever.
so, I mean,
nonsense.
I think we're just going to end up seeing one super conference the way the direction of all this is going, or 2 super conferences with the Big 12 in the Big 10, you know? So, in the SEC, I should say 3 super deal.
Well, who's in the Big 12?
Yeah,
who's in the – I mean, so you're going to have 2 conferences, and you're going to have teams that are going to have 2 or 3 losses, and they're going to be the best teams? How are they the best teams?
Yeah, well, that's why expansion in the playoffs is key here. I mean, at least they're going to 12 teams in the playoff. I'm glad for that. Let's get to this. I'm not sure what Riley is referring to. Help me out.
You look like a young doctor there with your little sports coat on there, Riley. Nice hair.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I may be jealous of the hair. I had hair like that when I was 17.
My youngest brother calls me Doc. And I'm thinking to myself, was this him breaking my hump? But anyway, all right. So we got 3 games we're going to get to, and let's start with one of them. Let's go with the game between Notre Dame and Oregon State, Sean, in the Sun Bowl, Friday, December the 29th, 12 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, or 2 p.m., excuse me. Notre Dame right now is 6.5-point favorite, 41.5 is the total. Oregon State with a coaching staff that's not going to be there next year for the most part. I don't think, or the guy who got hired, was he on staff with Oregon State? I'm not sure. I know that Jonathan Smith is gone, and Oregon State is a team without a conference right now. And Notre Dame is going to be without their starting quarterback, Sam Hartman, who opted out to get prepared for the NFL. And Sean, what's your take here?
Yeah, well, not only is Hartman out, I think their running back is out, who scored 18 touchdowns. They're missing a couple linemen. They're
and a wide receiver.
I think their last I read was top 3 wide receivers, or at least portal or in transfer, so who knows. Their leading receiver, tight end, is not playing. Their second receivers, second team in touchdowns, he's not playing. Oregon, last time I checked, no quarterback. Leading touchdown, tight end, out. Their top 2 tacklers out on defense. You got a wide receiver out who led the team in yards, 1,200-yard running back not playing. Head coach is to Michigan State. Passing coordinators taking what? Man, and this game's still a week away. And the total, I have the total on the sites. You can find at 44. Hello, it's 41. I won't be shocked if this is 37 by next Friday.
It's actually 42.
42.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to keep going down. Tony the Tiger, there's not much roar going on out here in the Sun Bowl for sure.
Yeah.
Sidewise, I would maybe look to Oregon State because it's what is
the running back's still there for Oregon State, right? The star running back, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I thought he's in a portal. That kid.
He's in the portal as well. You can't blame any of those kids from Oregon State that shined this year. I mean, what are you going to do? Stay with a program out of loyalty that doesn't even have a conference right now? Yeah. So
it's you feel like, and that's we're just talking about that kind of stuff. And you look at it, it's like, why do you want? Who's backing that team? I mean, forget about the no money. Like, if you're an alum, you'd be like, why am I giving money? You have nothing here.
Yeah.
What am I giving to? You're like floating around you're like Tom Hanks in Castaway. You're just floating in the ocean with no.
Well, Oregon State, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Oregon State and Washington State, and again, I know what your response is going to be, Sean, but they did sign a contract to play 6 games against the Mountain West every year for next few years. But
they should just join the Mountain West.
Right. Why beat around the bush here? You know, it's almost like I get it that it's a step down. I get it that it's a sense of pride, but you know,
sense of pride. I mean, what do you got?
You're not Notre Dame where you could contend
dictate
with
where you're going.
National championship being an independent. You know?
Notre Dame for forever. Their own channel on NBC. They don't have to go to a conference, and yet if they're undefeated, they're in the playoffs because they're Notre Dame. I mean, and the running back's out because he's suspended, so he's off the team. Excuse me, the running back for them.
Okay,
he's suspended.
So
DUI.
That answers that question. Yeah. So, all right,
just take the under. It's under.
Yeah, I don't blame you, Sean. It's Notre Dame. It's not exactly like they were an offensive juggernaut with Sam Hartman. They're not a big play type of offense. They grind you down with methodical drives, and their defense is pretty good as a result because they're not on the field a lot. But Jesse, what's your take?
Well, I'm just happy that I didn't get assigned this game because coach is gone, no quarterbacks, all the star players opting out. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Sean. It's under or nothing, but this one's not going to be high on my list of bowl games that I want to watch.
Yeah.
So bet the under.
But it'll have a high viewing audience because Notre Dame is involved, and I get it. But I don't know what we could have expected from Oregon State. The bottom line is once the season ended, your head coach bolted, and he should. It's like, look, I'm stuck without a conference here. My value is never going to be as high as it is right now, sticking around. And he got hired at a spot, Michigan State, which there's a lot of room for growth there, top-notch program. So, and the kids that have starred on this team and have been instrumental in the rise of the program over the last couple of years. Why would they stick around? Because their girlfriend goes to Oregon State? No. There
probably wasn't going to be a lot of NIL money left either. And it's pretty tough to keep a program afloat these days without the NIL war chest.
Yeah.
Does anybody know what happened
to TV money?
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how it plays out with Charles Huff at Marshall after his comments about that quarterback and we got no NIL money for him. The fans hated him. Yeah. I mean, is he going to be coaching at Marshall next year after that?
I don't know. It's a good question. They did play tough for a half in that game, but then they just laid down in the second half. But again, let's just talk about the NIL money. We've talked about this time and time again, whether it be Marshall or Middle Tennessee State or any of those schools in the Sun Belt. How much NIL money you think is going to be thrown around in those conferences? The NIL money, to me, is going to be plentiful in any institution right now at the Division I level that has a legitimate chance to win a national title game, or playing in a power conference. So his complaint, in one sense, is true, guys, but in the other sense, in my opinion, is unrealistic. Who is going to jump in and use NIL money or offer to put up some big NIL money at Marshall? Jesse?
Yeah, I think part of it is it becomes part of the job is marketing and finding ways to drum up more NIL money. And a guy like Deion Sanders at Colorado, if Deion wasn't at Colorado, I don't think that program would be generating as much money and have as much at their disposal as he brings so much hype to that program, and it helps in that department. And I guess that's going to probably be part. Gone are the days where your job is just to be the head coach. Now you've also got to be like an entertainer that brings in NIL money.
Yeah, it's all part of the process. And, I guess this is the other part of the equation. The NIL, which has got so big over the last 2 years or so. Some of these coaches taking jobs at places like Marshall prior to the NIL coming into play, they're, at a distinct disadvantage. So, of course, this to me errs on the side of frustration from the Marshall head coach more than anything else. Let's take some questions here. It's going to turn into a cluster exactly, but 12 will be better than 4 the playoffs in college. Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at what occurred this year, we talked about this, John, earlier on one of the other shows, and I was vehement that I love the 12 team thing, and to me it's going to eventually go to 16. That's my personal take. Sean's not a big proponent of it, but if you look at the top 12 teams this year, this would be a very competitive playoff in the top 12. Everybody's talking about Georgia and Florida State getting screwed. Now, Florida State, they go undefeated, right? Georgia loses the first time in 30 games. What about Ohio State? They lost 1 game, their final regular season game of the year, to the number 1 team in the country, 30-24 on the road, and they're out as well. So those are 7 quality teams right there. And then you go into the top 12. Just look at the college football playoff standings, or rankings, I should say, right now. The top 12 teams. Any one of those teams are capable of at least pulling an early round upset. But anyway, Sean, your take?
On the playoffs?
Yeah.
I don't want more. No, because it's the same.
Again, so you would rather Ohio keep it at 4. You would
6
rather,
is the perfect
maybe
number.
6. 6
is
it.
the perfect number.
6 is it. 6.
All 5 conference champs and then an at-large bid. And that's fair.
See, to me, no, because I just gave you a perfect example. If you had the top 6, who are you going to leave out? Ohio State, Georgia, or Florida State this year?
Florida State.
Florida State.
So you would make them number 7. And there's holy hell breaking loose right now all over the media and from the Florida State contingent about being left out as an undefeated team. Huh?
I mean, I think that's a little childish, that the way that people are reacting over Florida State. It's not realistic. I mean, they're not really being realistic. You had all these teams that were deserving. There's no undeserving team in there. I mean, who do you want to take out? Like, Texas beats Alabama. Alabama beats
on
Georgia.
The road. Yeah,
they all deserve to be there. All 4 of the teams that are there.
Florida, here's the problem with the Florida one: is their quarterback gets hurt and the offense falls apart, and
they wouldn't be competitive anyways.
Yeah. All right. Let me look at the rankings here. I know that.
Can I answer Seth Chills, because he responded to my comment about the NIL money there, about the nature of being a head coach changing to the point where you have to entertain.
Yep.
I'll bring up Chip Kelly, because Chip Kelly didn't do a bad job at UCLA as far as the product on the field. They were talking about firing him because he wasn't able to raise the funds by entertaining the boosters, and his prickly relationship with boosters not wanting to cater to them. And yeah, that is becoming part of the job. Your job is to be an entertainer to whoever's got the money to bring that NIL war chest over. So that's what I meant by entertain.
All right, so I'm looking at the playoff rankings right now, guys. Florida State's 5, Georgia 6, Ohio State 7. So regardless of your comments, and they're well-founded, I'm not disputing what you guys are saying, but under this current format, if they were to have 6 teams this year, hypothetically, Ohio State would be the team left out. Florida State would be in, and Georgia. Now let's go one step further. Number 8 is Oregon. They lost 2 games. The only 2 losses to Washington by slim margins. Okay, I mean, and number 9, Missouri, number 10, Penn State, number 11, Ole Miss, number 12, Oklahoma. Under the 12-game playoff starting next year, Oklahoma would be playing Florida State in round 1.
And Florida
So
State
there's
would
a
be beaten.
number.
Oklahoma's bad. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking. Penn State is trash. Penn State is like the Dallas Cowboys. Let's roll up. Hey, look, we're playing Indiana. We're going to win 46-0. Oh, we got to play a good team, and we're going to lose 30-14. They can't beat anybody good. They haven't. When's the last time they beat a good team? Penn State. James Franklin cannot beat a good team, so they don't deserve to be anywhere near it. What's his record? Jesse, I know you know. Isn't he like 0 whatever? Versus
Guys, don't we want to create some kind of stir like we see in March Madness, but on a smaller basis? That's what I'm looking at.
Give me the.
I mean,
6.
We just talked about Oral Roberts getting to the Elite Eight. We're talking about St. Peter's getting to the Final Four. Come on, man.
Exactly.
You know
and they want to
mean?
put 100, and they want 120 teams now in the tournament. It's a joke. No.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you start saying that Penn State has no chance. I don't agree.
They don't
with
have a
that.
chance. I 100% because every time they've had a chance, they've lost. Go to the record versus Ohio State and Michigan. The two teams, equivalent kind of teams they face from another conference. What is the record versus them? He hasn't beaten them.
All right, so their first round matchup would be Ohio State under this current format,
and that would be what?
Again, keep in mind
40-10.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind Dylan Gabriel. If he knew that Oklahoma's in the playoffs, he's not opting out early.
Is that team that good? We've seen them play in the playoffs. They don't get
who? Oklahoma? No, I mean, I thought they'd be better defensively with Brett Venable, but come on. I mean, LSU finishes 13.
I don't know if LSU in there. At least a quarterback gives you a shot.
Who'd want to go against Jaden Daniels in a playoff game as a higher seed? We look
at it as a betting side too, which is why me and Jesse are automatically like no Florida State because they'd be double-digit dogs to everybody because of the quarterback situation.
Absolutely,
and,
I get it. I do.
Georgia. We've said it. Georgia loses that game September 13th. They're in the playoffs because they're back-to-back champs and they're 30-1 their last 31 games.
Right.
You lose the last game of the year.
Again, Sean, this is exactly why I'm all for the expansion of the playoff to 12
6 is
teams.
fine.
Another team, Arizona, they were as hot as anybody coming down the stretch.
No.
The problem is, Sean, you can't really do 6 anymore now with the conference realignment. The 6 worked great with a Power 5. Now there is no Power 5 anymore, right?
It's not going to make a difference because you're going to get 7 teams from the SEC and 3 from the Big Ten.
I hear what you're saying.
All good points, boys. All good.
I think 6 would have been great, but now it's too late for that.
This is the NCAA tournament all over. We're going to get Clemson, who's a 17-12 team out of the ACC. 8th place in the ACC gets in. Oh, these guys were 13-13 or 9-8 in league play in the Big 12. They should get in because it's the toughest competition. But the team that goes 27-1 and has like a loss on the road to Mississippi by 4, they get left out because they get like upset. They get knocked off in a conference tournament. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Well, again, Sean, the last I checked, the NCAA tournament's pretty popular, makes a lot of money, and they get it right. So
they don't get it right. They 100% do not get it right. If they get it right, they wouldn't put your 5-12s in all these matchups or all your mid-majors. Where when Wichita State's undefeated, they wouldn't get Kentucky in the second round. No, they don't set that up right. You don't have, Mountain West teams going against each other in the first round. All your Cinderella teams, everybody, they put them in 8-9s to knock them out. So you make sure North Carolina, Kentucky, and Kansas and all these other Syracuse every year is a bubble team. It's 18-16, they get in there. Come on.
When did they get in at 18-16? They haven't made it for 3 years. And the last time
I'm going back to the year they made it as a
11 seed. And what happened that year?
They ran the table. They got in. They went deep. Yeah. I'm just saying that. Yeah. They shouldn't have been in the first place, though.
Well, I mean,
if
you're gonna say on one hand they shouldn't have got in as 11 seed, on the other hand,
they were in the playing game.
I think they're in the playing game. Committee got it right.
They're in the playing game. They're in the playing game with 16 losses, and yet some other mid-major who went on the road and maybe beat another lower end kind of Power 5 school, they get left out. No. People, no.
Okay.
Nope. No.
The idea is to get the best teams there. That's the way I look at it.
This is your bias.
As a mid-major in most mid-major conferences, they're one big conference. Everybody knows that. Okay,
It shouldn't be. There shouldn't be 9 teams from the ACC because they go.
If a mid-major wants to be taken seriously and thinks, look it, I have to cover my bases here. I think we have a good enough team in going into the offseason, a good enough team to compete next year. What we got coming into the transfer portal, our recruiting class, and what I have in hand that's coming back. Then you go out and make an attempt like the Gonzagas used to do back in the day before they were a household name, and you start scheduling non-conference opponents in that schedule and beating some non-conference opponents and on the road. Okay? That I don't know. You tell me a mid-major that's gone on the road, okay, and won a couple games on the road and got eliminated in the finals of their conference tournament and didn't make it. Give me an example.
I'm sure Wichita State's been in that boat before. I'm sure somebody out of Mount West has been in that boat before.
Wichita State hasn't been in that. They when they were in the Missouri Valley, that was more than a 1-bid lead when they were good. They were getting who else? Northern Iowa was always in there with them. So
Butler was it before Butler came to the Big East? They were like another midi. Like
Butler was in Horizon. Yeah,
you have these.
The Butler also made it the 1 year when they didn't win the Horizon.
How many guys out of the SEC want to schedule FAU or the ACC? Think they want to see Florida Atlantic?
Well, look at Florida Atlantic's non-conference schedule this year before you talk. Okay,
I'm just saying.
There's been several schools that they've gone out and scheduled them.
Yeah, but this was before they were good. These schedules are set years in advance.
Yeah, well, I mean, again. After this class, look it's one thing when you got all 5 starters coming back from a team that vastly, in a lot of people's eyes, overachieved to get to the Final Four last year, and we're within a bucket or a buzzer-beating bucket of getting to the finals. Okay, now the hard part's going to be for Florida Atlantic once this class of 5 starters graduates and moves on. Are you going to be able to keep up that type of recruiting?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah. I lived in Boca Raton. I lived there for 4 years. And they couldn't draw 1,000 people for basketball back then. This was in the early 2000s.
Oh,
okay. And up
until you're in Boca, you're in retirement village. I mean, how much wheelchair seating can you possibly have?
My point being,
the elderly can't climb stairs, Ross. You're not going to be getting up in the upper deck here. So, I mean, you're going to have elevated seats for a bunch of 75.
Well, how are they doing it now, then, Sean? It's those people pulling up in wheelchairs are filling the arena now. So
because they got scooters now, nobody's got to push them. They got electric scooters.
All right, let's get to another question here. The NBA and Major League Baseball both need to get rid of 2 teams. A's, Rockies, Wizards, Pistons is bad for sports. Unbelievable. Well,
I'd say 8. I'd say get rid of 8 teams.
I don't know about getting rid of the team. I think you need to move that franchise is the key. Because right now there's no money behind that franchise. When you got a franchise that's getting outdrawn annually by 3 or 4 AAA teams, that's the issue more than the quality of play. Now, the quality of play comes with the fact that you have ownership that doesn't want to retain anybody that's any good that becomes a free agent. They let them go elsewhere. It's like the Miami Marlins or the old Florida Marlins, the same concept. They groom their players. They develop them. They turn into great players. They win a World Series title or they make a deep run in the playoffs, and then next year everybody's gone. Okay,
they've got this all figured out in soccer because the bottom 3 teams get relegated every year.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to field a competitive team, if you don't spend the money and put the effort,
what are you going to do though? Send the Oakland A's down to AAA? Come on,
I know it's not feasible, but I'd love to see it. And I was thinking actually thinking the Carolina Panthers
and move them to the G League.
The Carolina Panthers to the CFL was actually what I had in mind.
You have your teams like Tampa Bay who are competitive, even though they don't spend money. But it's like no one watches them. Like let's get rid of baseball in Florida. Nobody watches it. The fans don't come out.
Miami, Tampa, okay. 2 hotbeds for baseball where kids played baseball 12 months out of the year.
Can't get
I only played baseball 2 months out of the year. You can't tell me that didn't hurt my development or anybody who played with me's development that was serious about the game.
No one comes to the games.
Yeah.
No one comes to the games.
You go to Florida where they can play 12 times out of the year, and okay, it's a bad neighborhood where they are. The facility sucks.
Like the Pirates, it's like the Pirates don't spend money, but you know what? The fans come out though, right?
Yeah.
They get fans in Pittsburgh. They like their team. You can't get rid of the Pirates. As much as I love to say get rid of the Pirates, the Rockies, the Marlins, the Rays, the A's. I mean, we go on. The Twins.
Jesse, there's a question here. What's the latest on the Air Force quarterback? You're good at stuff like this.
I didn't look into this, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't look into it deeply either because I haven't got to that game yet. And I could say from my own personal standpoint, I'm not like these guys. I don't get down too early, and especially at this time of year in this bowl season in the current state that we live in. Now, Sean might have an answer on that. I don't know. I'm
thinking he's good to go because the line's from 3 down to a 1. I'm assuming he's playing.
Yeah. So there you have it. That's usually an indicator right there. All right. So the NBA, we already crossed that. What up, good people? Big Memphis checking in. I see my guy.
Ja Wick, the gunman, the mad shooter.
Yeah.
Ja Morant, Memphis. There's a good mid-major that didn't get a respect. Remember Memphis
Murray
State?
Yes. Yeah.
No, Memphis State too. Memphis State back in the Penny Hardaway days. Yeah. Murray State was another one back in the day too.
Well, Murray State when they had Ja. That's where he went to school, if I'm not mistaken.
But they made the tournament, didn't they?
They made it. Yeah, they won a game in a tournament. They got to the second round, but he was a one-man show. Memphis, I don't know. Was Memphis really a mid-major back then? I mean, I remember them losing to Kansas in the championship game in overtime. Yeah.
Because you had Derrick Rose. I mean, you had a guy before he got hurt was possibly a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Sounds like a Notre Dame under, Sean. Yep, yes, that's what Sean just said.
I don't know who Sean is, though. Yeah, thank you, T-Buddy. This guy coming in and spelled my name wrong.
All right. Anyway.
Blasphemy.
All right, let's get to the next game, and then hopefully you guys will chime in with some more questions and comments. Let us know. Is the college football playoff at 12 teams too many? Not enough or just right? You heard our disparaging comments to each other, and that, well, I should say our disagreeable comments from me as compared to these other two cats who, you know, many think are more intelligent than me because they're younger. But in any event, let's look at Jesse's game. And he's going to look at Clemson and Kentucky in the Gator Bowl. And Clemson comes in with an 8-4 record. Kentucky 7-5. Clemson finished the year much stronger than Kentucky. There's no two ways about it, Jesse. But when you look at everybody available in this game and what's going on, what's your take here? Clemson is a 5-point favorite, and the total is 47.
Well, first off, I look at Dabo, and his career record in bowl games pretty good. I mentioned Kyle Whittingham the other day, and Whittingham has 11 wins. Dabo ranks right below Whittingham in active head coaches winning percentage, right up there with Whittingham in all-time bowl wins. And for me, I think Dabo's got something to prove here. I don't know if you guys remember, but when Clemson got off to a slow start this year, they got blown out at Duke in week 1. There was a lot of rumblings that Dabo's lost his team. Dabo doesn't have it anymore. And I guess Dabo's sort of doing things in old school ways. He hasn't embraced the transfer portal as much as other coaches have. And there's a lot of doubt as far as is he going to be able to continue to have success? And I think he's got something to prove. I think Cade Klubnik didn't have the greatest year. I think he's got something to prove. Klubnik and Shipley are supposed to be available for Clemson, although it's difficult to go to the bank on player availability right now, as evidenced by the game the other day with UTSA. For Kentucky, Ray Davis declared for the NFL draft, says he's going to play. I'll question whether that's subject to change, and or if he takes an early knock, he's not going to keep on playing. He'll be quick to step out if he gets knocked around a little bit. Devin Leary didn't have a great year with Kentucky, 56% completions. Stoops, 4-3 all time in bowls. Last year, lost 21-0 to Iowa in the Music City Bowl. Like I say, I think Clemson's got something to prove. I think Dabo's got the history, and I just think Clemson's a better team. So we'll take Clemson minus the 4.5 here.
Clemson's definitely a better team at this juncture. And here's the thing with teams when in terms of availability at this time of year, when it's a Clemson, and if they do have several players in the that opted out or in the transfer portal, again, I'm being hypothetical. Dabo Swinney has recruited so well that the quality depth with a program like that is going to be very good. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Sean, do you have any thoughts in that regard with this matchup?
Well, yeah, I think offensively, Clemson should be able to score on Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky's a good team. I do see Clemson's got a couple guys out defensively who are pretty good. They're leading tacklers, sack guys out. I see guys with 4 interceptions and 2 defensive touchdowns out of the game. But Kentucky's offense had been blasé anyway. I think Clemson is, again, a team that's been frowned upon like they're done, right? This team is done. They just get a second life. Was it 4.5, 5? I'd have to lay with Clemson here as well. This is this is a game I do not have bet, but I would take Clemson.
Yeah, I agree with you guys on the Clemson pick here for many of the reasons that you both brought up, and without getting redundant. Kentucky is where quarterbacks can't wait to get out of college so they could shine in the NFL because they're held back, it seems like, when they play in Kentucky. Will Levis is a perfect example of such. He's not tearing it up in the NFL, but I will tell you this. I could see why he was drafted number 1 now by watching him a few times. I could see why they saw the upside in him. I didn't see that when he was at Kentucky, guys.
No.
And I think we discussed this. All 3 of us agreed to that.
I think we're probably all pretty surprised at how bad Devin Leary's been there, because he was pretty good at NC State.
Really good at NC State.
It seemed like a big move for Kentucky. Oh, Kentucky's got Devin Leary. They might make some noise this year. Well, it was a long ways off. He really disappointed.
It's 100% not good for the game. Team money coming 50. In and.
Go ahead,
okay.
Sean.
No, I was gonna say he's like the coaching is you got to be like an ambassador. You got to come in, entertain. Like you used to have to do that before, but now it's.
What I was saying about Chip Kelly too. Is he's doing a fine job of coaching the team, and then they're like, "Oh, but you're not keeping these guys happy," and he's just like, I think he gave them a little bit of, he told them what he thought.
Yeah, like come on, that's not. Give me the money, put the players on the field. You want to hobnob with the players? Leave me alone. But it is what it is. I mean, I don't know. I don't like the whole.
Where this game is going, Sean, and again, I want to use Syracuse as an example. This guy hasn't coached a game yet. Yet he's bringing in 4- and 5-star players at a school that, look, this is the best recruiting class they've had in over 2 decades. They brought in the highest-rated quarterback they've had since they had Donovan McNabb. The 6 players, the top-rated players they brought into this recruiting class, are higher rated than any players that the previous staff brought in. So we don't know how good of a game day coach he's going to be, right? But it seems that's where the direction it's headed. And I think again, and he could correct me if I'm wrong, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is I'll use college basketball coaches as being ambassadors and entertainers. I mean, the Bob Knights of the world, the Bob Huggins of the world, going back to Lou Carnesecca, Raleigh Massimino, always pulling his hair out, and yet these guys were always first and foremost when it came to being an ambassador for the college basketball game. Maybe not Bobby Knight so much, but look, the guy's a legend, right? Whether you loved him or hate him. Go ahead, Jess.
Calipari comes to mind as a guy that's all about recruiting and not so much about the X's and O's on the chalkboard.
Nor is he, really animated on the sidelines like the other gentleman that I just. He's not bad, okay, but again, when we're talking about entertainers and ambassadors, who's going to consider Calipari an ambassador, Sean, to the college basketball game when all he does is really he's a proponent of the one and dones for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, the like Coach Cal, even like a Patino.
Yeah,
I mean, these guys are legends, though. I mean, we're talking about guys. I mean, the 80 regime of you had like
but
Coach K
Patino's old school too, right, Sean? Compared to a Calipari. I mean, I go back to when he got Providence to the Final Four back in the day. You know,
I was talking about a guy with the longevity and the. If you want to use like an ambassador, like someone could come in and like change the culture and be like, all right, this guy's here. It's like, wow, we got to listen to him. You know, like let's see what he can do. He's back. He's at St. John's. Let's see what they're doing. They're not doing much. I mean, does the game pass by? I don't know. It's
first year too, Sean. I mean,
I know. I just it's
and you took. I mean, you replaced 11 players from last year's team.
Yeah.
So you got to give them a little bit of an opportunity. Anyway. Good conversation, boys. College basketball, Nevada versus TCU. The total is 150. I got it at 149.5 earlier. TCU put up 111 yesterday. They keep their offensive momentum hot today, too. I think this will be a very entertaining game to watch. I think the 149.5, 150, 158.5 is low. I'll be honest with you. And again, when I studied this game, I look at the analytics, and TCU is one of the teams that plays probably faster than anybody in the country. Not faster than everybody, but they're right up there. They're number 15 in terms of offensive possessions per 40 minutes. They're, I think, in the top 5 in terms of offensive time of possession, which means they like to get the ball and go. And they're very good at speeding up their opponent. And if you look at Nevada, they're not high in that regard, but they're in the top third in adjusted tempo and offensive time of possession. And when I read into that and they're playing a team like TCU, I don't think they're going to shy away from a fast-paced game. But anyway, you guys take?
Yeah, I'd like the over there too.
Justin? I like Nevada myself.
Yeah. All right. So Nevada, again, TCU is, I think they have one loss on the year. But their strength of schedule isn't really strong to this point. Expanding the college football playoff is the only way, especially with the transfer portal. Thank you, sir. I agree. Me and T Money, we think a lot, man. We're on the same page, brother. Yeah, other than that bald-headed guy in the bottom. All right. So what else? T Money with another one. And one-game scenarios like Oklahoma and Penn State would knock off better teams. Yeah.
Who's Penn State beating?
Yeah.
They're going to lose. They're losing to Mississippi.
Well, the other side of the argument would be who they lose. Who were the 2 losses against? Ohio State and
But he's saying they're better teams. Like the teams that are better Penn State are your Bama's, Georgia's, Michigan's, Ohio State's, Oregon's. I mean, they don't beat them.
I think he's saying the possibility is there, Sean. Maybe I'm reading this wrong.
He said they would knock off a better team. He's saying that says they definitely do it in a one-game scenario. I don't know. I'm not counting on.
T Money, clarify that. I don't think that's what he's implying, but maybe Sean is right. But in that you can't take for granted that's going to happen. That's for sure. A team like Penn State.
I mean, I guess what T Money is probably thinking is Oklahoma did beat Texas, and Texas is a playoff team. Yeah. But it did take interception on the first play and deep in their own territory, and then a late
could have won that game.
How do you know how a Penn State would match up against anybody outside their conference? Beside, and maybe
I just look at the coach versus ranked teams. Yeah, he gets outcoached and outplayed. He gets outmaneuvered.
Again, you're talking about Ohio State and Michigan. Okay,
I'm talking about Michigan State.
No, you look at Penn State this year. They were running up the score against weak teams in a pretty weak field in a top-heavy Big Ten. As soon as they ran into anybody of any consequence, they didn't rise up to the challenge. And it's not anything new, as Sean says, with James Franklin. It's hard for me to imagine any recent Penn State team beating the top 3 teams in the SEC.
I mean, they beat, I guess, West Virginia. Even West Virginia.
Oregon.
Let me ask you guys a question. Could Penn State contend with Washington? Could they contend with? Would
No.
they? You don't think so? You don't think
No.
so? Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I think the physicality. I think they have problems against teams that could match their physicality on the interior lines, and that's Michigan and Ohio State.
Well, I mean, I
I'm
guess
not
we
so
all
sure
thought that
against
Oregon
finesse
would
teams.
dominate Washington physically, and then
Yeah.
it didn't come to fruition, right? I mean,
Yeah. Well, yeah, but what was it? A 3-point game? You know what I mean? I mean,
I would
don't
almost give them credit for
3-point
beating
game on
Utah
both
last year.
occasions, Jesse. You know what I mean?
I'd almost give them credit for beating Utah last year in the Rose Bowl, except Cam Rising got hurt in that game. So that's
and that's what I'm saying. I mean, if Penn State goes out and they lose by 3 in a first round game as a number 12 seed against a number 5, I don't think that anybody's going to frown upon the expansion of the playoffs at that point. I get what you guys are saying. You know,
2 years ago, Penn State at Wisconsin, 16-10 when Wisconsin was good. You lost to Illinois. Remember Illinois was good when what's his name came over, new guy. They lost at home 20-18 to them. Lost to Ohio State. You lost to Michigan. I mean, you lost to Michigan State. You lost to Arkansas in a bowl game. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could go back and take a look at Ohio State and Michigan losing to teams, as you just alluded to, on years that they weren't in the top 5.
I've seen Ohio State win in the playoffs, though, and beat a good team.
Yeah,
I haven't seen Penn State beat a top 5 team ever. I don't think in my life. Maybe I got to go back to when they beat Miami.
You got to go back to Paterno
because Testaverde wanted those 6 interceptions.
Yeah, you got to go back to Paterno for that. I agree. I agree on that aspect. I'm not in full agreement. They couldn't pull off an upset in the first round against a higher seeded team in this format right now, especially if they go outside of conference and have to play, for example, and I know I'm going to piss people off, one of those finesse prima donna teams out of the SEC, an Ole Miss type of team, that type of thing, even though Ole Miss would be a higher seed this year as well. All right, Ohio State and Missouri in the Cotton Bowl, Friday the 29th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Missouri right now is a 1-point favorite. Total in this game is 49. Ohio State, well documented. Their starting quarterback transferred out and is going to Syracuse. Devin Brown, their backup, who looked tremendous in practices leading up to the Cotton Bowl, twisted his ankle on Wednesday. He's out for an indefinite period of time. So, but one thing I will say about Ohio State, their 3 and 4 quarterbacks are 4 and 5 star quarterbacks, if I'm not mistaken, as well. At least 4 stars, both of them. And that goes back to what I just said. When you recruit as well as Ohio State has done over the last umpteen years, you're always going to have a lot of quality depth and kids that could have started somewhere else and sit on the bench there. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of a loss for Ohio State at quarterback. Kyle McCord took a lot of heat. I mean, like Jesse said, I mean, you compare him to even C.J. Stroud last year, who's now tearing it up in the NFL. In any event, one thing that has stayed constant with Ohio State, and even with some of the guys opting out, is their quality depth on defense. And this is a defense that gave up 11 points per game. They allowed 17 points or fewer in 11 of 12 games this year. And the only exception to that was their regular season finale at Michigan, in which they lost 30-24. But they only allowed 338 yards in that contest to Michigan. And they were hurt by a couple turnovers that turned into short fields that for the Michigan offense. Ohio State, again, folks, you know, regardless of who they lose, the Marvin Harrison Juniors in the starting court, this is, like I just touched upon, because they recruit so well, it's very seldom that their cupboard is bare. So unlike other teams in the college football bowl games that were hurt badly by players opting out or transferring out, that's not the case with some of these elite programs like Ohio State. Missouri's had a great year. They've gone 10-2. But what bothers me with this Missouri team is their defense is vulnerable. They look good at times against weaker competition, but this is still a Missouri defense that's allowed 27 points or more on 5 occasions this year. You can get away with that because you could outscore opponents, but they've also allowed 385 yards or more 5 times and 500 yards or more twice. I think Ohio State leans on the running game heavily. They can do enough in the passing game. They have enough quality depth. This is one of those cases where I just think an SEC team like Missouri, that's more of a flash team, more of a prima donna type offense. Okay, it's either miss or hit with them, and when they hit big. But I just can't see them hitting big against Ohio State here. I'm going to like Ohio State here. I'm going to take the 1 point as an underdog. I'll always take the point if they want to give it to me over Missouri. Sean?
I can't believe that Missouri's ranked in the top 10. Is that a joke?
Yeah. They're actually number 9 in the last college football playoff.
Yeah. Have we have too much overreaction to everybody sitting out here going from a 6 to a dog? Any kind of points you'd probably in Missouri, right? Because they're not opt out, so they'd be pumped up to be there. But you have a good point on the Ohio State cupboard. It's not fair, It's tough because I think the coach for Ohio State might be on a little bit of a hot seat over there with the way things transpired. I mean, when's the last time Ohio State has a quarterback transfer? Forget about newer stuff or portal, but when did the guy kind of like leave as a starter to walk out of there? Yeah. I know the kid went to Georgia or whatever, but he was on the bench and, someone was ahead of him.
Yeah, Justin Fields. Right.
Right. I mean, and what's his name? The kid from Barrett, what was his name? Stetson Bennett or whoever left, right? Or I don't even know. It doesn't make a difference. The point of the matter is that I think there's other problems maybe in Ohio State that run a little deeper. I mean, I don't want to – at this point, the number is gone. I think you move on there, but I'd still just lean Missouri based on their, hey, look at this. Look at the season. 11-2 is a nice year. We can knock off an Ohio State squad.
Yeah. And I think Kyle McCord saw they got a 5-star coming in next year, highly touted 5-star quarterback, Sean.
No guarantee he was going to start.
Well, no, not whatsoever. But the kid took a lot of heat.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw a college quarterback put up decent numbers and his team go 11-1 and lost? The only game they lost is a 1-score game at Michigan on the final day of the regular season, or else, I mean.
The guy before him lost that game too.
Yeah, yeah. So
and he's the best thing since sliced bread in the NFL right now. So
and you got a rabid fan base there. They draw over 100,000 a game.
And didn't the guy before him, right? They've lost 3 straight to Michigan. Yeah,
I mean Jesse, for example, who I respect his opinion highly, wasn't a big Kyle McCord fan during the year either. And again, but I think he realizes now that I think why we frowned upon his performance level was because of the comparisons of what we saw under center in recent seasons for Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, at that time, though, Ross, we're talking like a top 3 ranked Ohio State team laying double-digit spreads against other teams, or I think in games that I was betting against Ohio State, it was that there was a lot of hype, and I was just making the point that this isn't the CJ Stroud version, the 50 points a game version of Ohio State with Kyle McCord. This isn't as dynamic of an offense.
The crazy thing is Ohio State had a lead at halftime in this game, had a lead, tied it up, down by 3 with 8 minutes to go. It was 27-24, and then they end up losing by 6. You threw 2 interceptions. You threw 2 touchdowns. How do you? That's the closest you've been. You're getting smacked by 44 to 14 scores by these guys the last couple of years.
Yeah,
Ohio
State blows up Penn State, as these guys astutely pointed out on several occasions, and also went to Notre Dame. They had to win it on the last play of the game, but that's still a quality win against a good team. Yet you look at Florida State and say they're undefeated and they lost their starting quarterback and people are still complaining they're in. I can make a stronger case for Ohio State than I could for Florida State being left out. Although I don't think they deserve to be there because, like you guys touched upon, and you're correct, it was a very top-heavy conference this year. But nobody's talking about Ohio State. They went 11-1. Their only loss was to Michigan. That's a Michigan team that's ranked number 1 in the country.
Same kind of Georgia. If you lose to a team head-to-head and you're only getting one shot, I'm sorry. Yeah. And as much as I want Florida State to be different, it's a bad precedent. Yeah. But I'm glad they went to the bookmakers, or maybe they didn't, but they kind of looked at the numbers and were like, listen, these guys are going to be 10-point under. They're 10-point underdogs to every team, and even 7 or 8 points to your Oregons, who aren't even the top teams. They were 14-point underdogs.
You're talking about Florida State, right?
Yes,
Sean.
Yeah.
So I would contend that if you look at the top 12 teams ranked in the last playoff rankings, okay, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Penn State, Missouri, Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, and Washington and Michigan. Who would Florida State be a favorite against? Maybe
nobody.
I don't know. Even
maybe
Oklahoma.
Mississippi.
I mean, against I don't think they would be. I don't think they would be. I mean,
not with that quarterback, they wouldn't be favored.
No, and if they played Oklahoma again, that's Oklahoma with Dylan Gabriel. If Oklahoma's in the playoffs this year, Dylan Gabriel's still there until at least the playoffs.
I'm taking the points in that game though against Oklahoma. Yeah. I'm not a Venables guy.
Well, back to what T-Money said.
I get you, but I'm asking if they would be favored, Sean. I get what you're saying.
They're not.
T-Money says Oklahoma or Penn State might upset somebody if you let them in the playoffs. And my question is, why would you want that? Like, is that something you want? Do you want a team like Penn State playing in the finals? Is that what you want to see? I don't particularly want to see that myself.
In the format as it's.
You got that last year, and TCU lost 60-10.
Yeah. All right. So in the format as it stands, right. First of all, according to the current playoff rankings, if indeed this 12-team playoff were to take place this year, we're being hypothetical again. The number 12 seeds Oklahoma, the number 5 seeds Florida State. That's a first-round matchup. Then you're looking at Mississippi playing Georgia. Then you're looking at Penn State against Ohio State and Oregon and Missouri. So those would be the matchups in the first round, with the top 4 teams obviously getting a bye.
So Georgia beats up a team they usually beat up, and Ohio State beats a team we usually beat up. Wow.
Yeah.
Great. We get a rematch of a 44-20 game. Super.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the 8-9 game, I would think that Oregon would be a pretty good favorite against Missouri. That's my see. But to me, a team like Oregon and a team like Ohio State at 7 and 8 deserve a chance. I mean, I think both of those teams
those are capable
of beating anyone.
Yeah, those are teams that I want to see play national championship games.
Yeah,
but that's why I was saying 6 teams, because I think there's about every year there's about a half a dozen teams that maybe could compete, and then there's usually the next 6, not so much. So when you go to 12, you're including teams that really nobody wants to see in the final.
Yeah, but again, when you go to the NCAA tournament, guys, the way they got it set up now, and I know that they expanded to 68 teams, and I think it'd be ridiculous if they go beyond that. But there's a lot of teams that people say, why are we wasting our time watching this game? We know it's going to be an absolute blowout, and we've seen several upsets, over the course of time. And lately, we even seen a number 16 beat a number 1, which nobody thought would ever be possible. So it's about creating entertainment and excitement too. Okay. I don't know. That's me. And they do it at every other division, and it seems to work well. I don't know why they can't do it at Division I, and they're on the way to do it.
I'm not as opposed to it as Sean is.
Yeah.
And with our jobs, more playoff games,
That's the way I look at it too.
Bet on it.
More, bottom line is here. Look at the teams that got left out in the top 12. How many important players have opted out? How many players have gone into the transfer portal? Where now when they play in a bowl game, it means absolutely nothing.
Well, let's go back. I mean, we could go back to when CMC opted out of the Rose Bowl. And like, I'm like, opting out of freaking Rose Bowl, bro? Like, who are you to opt out of the Rose Bowl? Like, yeah. I mean,
I was disgusted. I was absolutely
like, but again,
but did Stanford have a chance? Did Stanford have a chance to win a national championship? No. If indeed it was a 12-team playoff, they would have been part of it. And I can guarantee you wouldn't have opted out. That's my point, guys. But that's all I'm saying.
Like, why? And I understand you don't want to get hurt. God forbid something happens. You're going to be a draft pick. But like, why should I play in a national championship game? Who cares? I'm going to get paid next year. I'm going to go in here and hurt myself in a bowl game. Like, it's just the way that it's just changed in the last decade.
When was the last time we saw an important player opt out of a college football playoff game or a BCS national championship? How about never?
Never? Why haven't they? Why would you play?
Huh? Why would you play?
Why would you play? I don't want to get hurt.
Unless you're a guy like Christian McCaffrey, who's why wouldn't you play? I mean, even Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, he comes from a family of money. I mean, it's not like he needs to worry
I'm just
about.
Saying, if these, I don't think anybody should opt out.
No,
like I think that's bad, and I think that, as I said, you're gonna. I'm gonna just look at the portal, see if I want to go. Well,
but again, Sean, I don't want give me an example of a player that
there hasn't been. But why? I mean, if I'm a guy, why wouldn't I sit out? Like, why am I playing, bro? Sorry, I'm getting paid. God forbid something happens, I get my knee rolled. I'm out.
You don't think that if you were even the number 12 team in the country,
it's going to happen. Guys are going to start sitting out of these playoff games.
Yeah, well, they're going to be few and far between, because unless you're an absolute lock to be a number 1 draft choice and a top 10 pick at that, why would you not use this as a platform to elevate your status even more? Come on. These are big games.
I understand. I'm an old school. I'm not opting out of the Blue Bonnet Bowl if I'm playing football.
Right.
I want to play the game.
Marvin Harrison Jr., for example, if I could use this. Marvin Harrison Jr., for example, if Ohio State's part of the college football playoff, he's playing. He's not opting out. He's not sitting out.
But if you're the 12th seed and you're an 18-point dog in the first round of a playoff game, and your players are like, I'm opting out. I could see if your team's an 18-point dog, you're already feuding with your
Wrong. Because if I'm a player in that situation, and I'm just speaking for myself, and I'm just speaking from a sports fan in general, you want every reason to play in that game to pull off a damn upset and show that you could take the team on your back and elevate your game to that point. That's bad example, Jesse. I've heard you say a lot of things that I got a lot of respect for.
This is a different.
That's not.
These kids are cut from a different cloth, man. They're
getting
paid anyway.
I agree with the sentiment, Ross, but I don't have faith in the youngsters to think.
Yeah, I get that, but it's not faith in the youngsters. It's the people advising them. Okay. I can't imagine if I'm an agent for a starting quarterback of a number 12 seed that's an 18-point underdog. I would say, ordinarily, if it was just a bowl game, I'd tell you to opt out. But in this particular example, you could take yourself from a top 25 pick to a top 5 pick if you make a deep run in the playoffs, especially if you pull off an upset as an 18-point dog.
He throws two interceptions, goes 22-40, and the team loses by 22.
Yeah. I can give you an example right now. The tight end for Georgia, Bowers.
Yeah.
A lot of people were advising him to sit and prepare for the draft when Georgia was still a playoff contender this year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Someone sit out the whole season.
Yeah.
Well, because he was.
And potentially missed the championship game.
Buddy, he played, when he came back, he was playing hurt. He was hurt when they were advising him to do that. Okay?
Well, no, that's not true.
If you've been a player that's played all year without injury, and don't have an injury past, and you didn't tear up your knee last year and you're coming off a good year, that's a whole different entity. That's a whole
So Bowers was hurt, but it was clear that he had plenty of time to recover, right, and be back for the playoffs. and he was advised not to bother even trying to do that. Just go straight to the draft. You got nothing to prove.
Well, that again, we don't know that for a fact. You say he's being advised. Being advised by who? Who is reporting that? You know what I'm saying? Again, Jesse, I'm sure there's some truth to it. I'm not disagreeing with you there. There's some.
It was on all the talk shows, ESPN.
All the talk shows. Whatever, how many times have we heard these talk shows touch on sensitive subjects such as these and be completely wrong? You know?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, and all the credit. I got a ton of respect for Bowers for coming back
let me tell you something.
And playing.
He came back when he came back from injury. He came back well ahead of schedule. He played hurt. The first game he played hurt. He had to sit out the next week because he was so sore. So that's a kid there. You're going to tell me that if he had a chance to play for the national championship, I don't care if Drew Rosenhaus or the President of the United States is your agent.
Ton of respect for Bowers, but he was advised not to do that, and other players would be advised not to do that.
Okay, and
not everybody was on board with what Bowers did. I like it. You like it. Other people say, "Oh, you don't waste your time with that. Just go to the draft."
You know what? And if I'm going to tell you right now, if that was the case, and I'm an NFL scout. And I'm going to say that they're leery of this kid getting hurt again because he's got a chronic injury. He's got to go through a physical. You know what I mean? I think that would hurt him more than help him. You know,
Ross. Yeah. They had to make a tournament to pay NBA players an extra 500 grand to get them motivated to play. You don't think these kids would sit out to get for a payday?
In early December in an 82-game schedule, Sean. To me, that's a bad comparison. All right, we could argue this point to the cows come home.
You got to double up their guaranteed salaries because they don't want to play.
Okay, we're talking NBA where players are making multi-million dollars.
It's the same. It's a bunch. You're still talking about a bunch of 20-year-old kids. They're a bunch of 20-year-old kids.
It's not.
They're a bunch of 20-year-old kids.
I vehemently disagree with that, but that's okay. That's why the show works. I got AJ, and where was a question about the boxing. Yeah, here, let me get to this.
I thought that was like Sammy Wilder. I thought it was a Denver Bronco running back.
Do you have any thoughts on the Day of Reckoning boxing event tomorrow? Mainly Otto Wallen versus Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. I think it's good for boxing. It's a much needed boost for interest in boxing. They've taken a back seat of late to the MMA and UFC and those types of events in the same night where you have 4 very good heavyweights going at it. Reminds me back in the day of the Joe Frazier's and the Muhammad Ali's and the multi-fight cards where a lot of the fights had contenders on the same card. And nowadays, it seems like it's the main event and it's up and coming stars fighting against has-been veteran fighters that they're trying to just use as a stepping stone. So I welcome these types of events. Now, in terms of who I like, maybe these guys have maybe they follow it a little more than I do to actually make picks on those fights. I don't know. You guys have any thoughts at all?
No way.
Okay.
Is he being sarcastic with that?
I don't even trust. How do you I don't trust those judges. I mean, how many? No way.
Yeah.
All
right.
No.
So there you.
I don't even like the Bengals. I think why is that 2.5?
You got AJ and Wilder. Those two would be the favorites, no doubt about it. And I think they fought twice already. I guess that would set it up for a trilogy. Again, I don't know. I don't follow boxing the way I used to do in a day for a lot of reasons. And part of it is what Sean just said. All right, Dan's rant. Hey, Dan, how you doing, buddy? Just go back to a national championship game between the top two. You know, Dan, every time, Dan, I think you're starting to become intelligent. You make a comment like this.
I like it. Go back to the BCS rankings. When Miami beats a team.
Why don't we go to the American League and the National League and put everybody in the same league, screwed into divisions, and whoever
you like that, Rob? Well, that's what you want with your super conferences. So you want that.
Right. Well, I don't know.
You
what
want
you're
two
saying.
conferences.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't want three. I don't want three divisions in AL and NL. I want two. Go back to two.
Yeah. Well, this basically is saying go back to just the American League and National League with no divisions, and whoever the top two teams are, but like back in the old day, they play for the World Series. And you got 30 teams in Major League Baseball. So by September the 1st, 26 of them are going to be eliminated from any playoff contention, most likely. No,
sounds like a Met fan.
And I got a lot of respect for you, buddy. I love your opinions, and you're a gentleman in every sense of the word. But this isn't one of, like Jesse's prior statement, isn't your finest moment.
My prior statement was right on.
Yeah, bullshit. Sean, your point is you have to be good for the regular season versus just having the talent to go deep in a tournament. I don't agree, Sean, but I get your point. So do I. I don't agree, but I get his point. Look, just because we disagree on something on this show does not mean we don't have a respect for each other's opinion.
We know in the NCAA tournament, when the Sweet 16 comes around, it's going to be the cream rises to the top. You might have a one outlier in there, but chances are it's going to be all the top dogs usual. Which I'm saying is, instead of putting on that bottom tier ACC, Big Ten, whatever team, put in the mid-major deep somewhere as an extra seed.
Well, here's what I always hear me out on
this.
Yes,
Memphis. No respect, Memphis, Seth.
Yeah, so here's what I always thought they should go to was we got the group of 5 too, right? So you allow every conference, if you're going to do this, allow every conference champion, in the playoff, and then have a couple of at-large teams. That I would go for too. I mean, and
the worst is like those small conferences.
That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, like these small conferences, though, it's a hindrance because if somebody gets knocked off, Mid-Tennessee State or Southern Utah, whoever, insert anything, Big Sky team, they're 27-0.
Well, don't have
somehow lose a game, then they're out. Like,
buddy, don't have a conference championship game then.
Exactly,
it's
but
regular season conference champions.
That was my point. Was going to. I was going to say they got to get rid of a tournament, but
right. Because that's what your point was with the NCAA tournament and some of these teams that go 28-3 and they get left out.
Because the madness is okay in the NCAA tournament, but if some team takes a bubble shot in their tournament, gets knocked out, well, sorry, folks, you're not in. What? Yeah. But it's okay that
University of Memphis gets no respect since you all talking about mid-majors. I believe you're talking about college basketball.
Yeah, we're
talking about that. They should start getting more respect, Seth, because they've knocked off, I think, 3 ranked teams now.
Even Houston. Let's throw Houston into that.
And they weren't ranked until, I know they fell out of the top 25 until last week. So
Memphis is a squad.
Didn't Houston just beat somebody by 60 or something?
Yeah, but I'm saying it took a while for Houston to get a little respect. Like,
right. Yeah.
Wheelchair seating like that.
The big wheelchair seating. I love it. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, T. All of a sudden now they're getting sellout crowds, and it's the same retirees down there. So I don't know. Maybe they're adhering to the wheelchair people a little more, and they're getting them there. Memphis got cheated in the second round game against FAU in the tournament. You all probably didn't pay attention. I paid attention. I don't know if it was cheating. I think that was a game that on paper they should have won. But again, it's part of the tournament.
Hey, Seth, they're not cheating at FAU. Believe me, they don't want that. They're not cheating for FAU.
No, that's the last thing the TV executives want. Is a team like St. Peter's or FAU or Oral
Roberts like that. The fans like that. They don't want that.
Fans love it. Betty, how are you? Hi, guys. I could buy a car now thanks to you. Big thanks. Merry Christmas to all of you and a kiss on the cheek to my favorite Mr. Benjamin.
Oh,
I'm a proud Penn State grad, by the way.
Oh, boy. She must hate our conversation. She hates me.
Back at you, Betty. And from all of us, we wish you a happy holiday season.
She's like, get freaking showing off the show.
And thank you for your support, Betty. I appreciate it.
Now we know why Ross was defending Penn State so much.
Yeah, he must have saw that in the comment section.
Yeah, my girl Betty, man. She's
relegation.
All right, here comes my brother
agree.
again.
I agree.
My brother Sammy.
Bring relegation.
Bring relegation to America. Yeah. Thanks for chiming in, Riley. Great stuff. Ken, how are you, my man? I enjoyed the conversation today. Great insight. Thoughts on Carolina Green Bay over 37.5. Good luck to everyone. Hope everybody has a good holiday. You know, I'm looking at that game and taking it pretty seriously in terms of that total you just mentioned, Ken, because Carolina's anemic offensively, but Green Bay is just absolutely horrific against the run. And if you're going to, you're going to have a chance for Carolina to put up any type of significant points, which it wouldn't have to be many in this game to put it over the total. I think this is their best opportunity just because of that fact alone. Green Bay has gone over the total, I believe, in 5 of their last 6. And Carolina has been an under team all year, and the line's been adjusted accordingly. But what bothers me with Green Bay is siding with them, and I went against them last week with Tampa Bay, and is their inability to stop the run. Now, having said that, it was Baker Mayfield that we talked about this game yesterday. But you guys' thoughts on that total?
Yeah, I mean, these guys don't have as much to play for. I mean, I could see some sloppy play, some sloppy defense. I mean, it's not a game that I'm overly interested in, but I see where you guys are going with this anyways.
Sean, any thoughts?
Carolina got a win last week. It was 9-7.
Yeah.
9-6. What was it? I mean,
9-7. Yep. Against Atlanta.
I'd have to look under just because Carolina does have a defense. The offense is atrocious. And I like the pack. You know, I like Love. I've been behind them since the start of the year. 37 seems like a lot because I don't know if – is Carolina scoring 10 points? You're telling me I need 28 from Green Bay? I don't know if I'm getting 28 from Green Bay versus defense.
I don't know. Green Bay's offense has really improved dramatically as the season has progressed. And again, Sean, I agree with you on the inability of Carolina to score points this year. But by the same token, look at Green Bay's defensive numbers against the run. Yeah, they held Tampa Bay to 99 yards last week and a little over 3 yards per carry. But look at beyond that. I mean,
no, they're good for a 20 spot, but Carolina's offense is so bad.
Yeah,
I mean, even teams who you give up 42 to Miami and Detroit on the road, that's fine. Look at these other scores: 13, 15, 16. I mean, 33 Dallas. Is Green Bay the Dallas offense? Is it the Miami offense?
What's the Carolina? I don't know if they have a team total out for Carolina right now. Just out of curiosity, that you guys.
I have no idea. I would probably look for I'd look at it under in that game, whether team totals.
I mean, the obvious. To me, the obvious, any Carolina game, you should always look at the under, but that doesn't mean they're going to go under every time. He went to Murray State. Yeah, we already clarified that, Riley. Thank you. Patino, I'm not sure why you're just saying Patino.
Ambassadors, maybe that.
We're talking about the coaches.
Yeah.
So I see a shocking smart one in there, too.
16 is a perfect number.
I'll
settle. Well, it's a perfect number if you want to have 4 rounds. I think the 12 is a perfect number for me. I would have even been happy with 8. Okay, but 12 to me, I'm even more happier.
8's fine.
I think 8 would be better than 12 for sure.
All right, 16 over. Here we go.
Because here's the thing: no matter what number it is, 8, 10, 12, 14, somebody's gonna be like, "Well, we need these guys should have been in. They just missed out. They're comparable." So it's always going to be another couple teams. So
it's always going to be like that. If you have 8, if you have 12, or you have 16, there's always going to be somebody who's going to have a.
Why not just the top 20? The top 24.
What's he referring to here, guys? Help me out. Over 47.
Probably how many times you yelled at me today.
Maybe one of the bowl games, like the Missouri.
I never yell at you. You are very good at making me very passionate, buddy. So never take it personally.
What's the total in the Ohio State?
If I was yelling at you all the time because I was mad at you, you wouldn't be with me. So I love your show due to all the information you guys provide. And part of that information is when we disagree. You know, look, if we all agreed, this would be a boring show. But I want to say this, in the words of Mike Lombardi, former NFL front office guy with the Raiders, Browns, and Pats, not all information is good information. Use your gift too, guys. Yep.
What are you, his agent? You're trying to get him another contract for VSiN over there? What that
I don't. Yeah. Finally here, Mar. finally here. Hey, Mar, how you doing, man? Everything's good here, Mar. Sean's driving me crazy, just as usual.
That's fine. That's fine. He knows because he's been here. That comment was from 40 minutes ago.
He's been uncharacteristic with a couple comments that were way in left field, in my opinion, but it's only an opinion on my part. Sorry, guys, was on the job. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, my man. So from all of us, this Memphis guy that loves Coach Cal. Yeah, you would. I mean, look, did a great job when he was at Memphis. Got him to a national. Yeah, Shaka Smart's really good. Okay,
what a crap job at Texas, and yet he's got Marquette as a top 5 team. Crazy.
Yeah, and remember with the job he did at VCU. I mean,
but I mean, from there,
I got you.
You thought he'd be like, wow, he's going to Texas, he's going to be awesome, and then
Sean, even in football, Texas is a high pressure job.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. I mean, under ordinary circumstances, if you were at any other university with the records he had at Texas, he probably wouldn't have been in hot water or been criticized at all. So, and you don't know the whole dynamic that went down there too. You know what I mean? There's probably a lot more to the story than we're aware of, obviously. Yeah. Can you touch on bankroll management and betting units for beginners? We talked about this the other day, but we'd be more than happy, sir, to touch upon it again. We all have different ways in which we look at this, but when it comes down to it, we're all disciplined in that regard. Sean, I'll let you go first, buddy.
I've got real simple, small, because you're going to want to bet a lot of games. Most people do. They don't have the discipline to hit one game. Like, I like this game only one a day. You're going to be on 5 or 6 things, Ace. You're going to probably want to be, I'm watching somebody's show and they're live streaming. I want to do a live bet. Whatever it is, tiny amounts. I mean,
especially with a guy like you. If you're following a guy like Sean, and you bet and have Sean's betting style, go ahead. I'll let you take it.
Really, people's things are different. If it's $10 a game, if it's $1 game, you're learning. So I wouldn't bet more than that unless you're some multimillionaire. You want to throw $100 down a game. I wouldn't do that. I'd say $1, $5. Learn, because you got to change your whole thinking of the mind. You used to changing. I don't like the show. I'm going to change the TV. Betting like, I'm going to just keep going and going. Small. It's a long. I mean, that shows a 5-hour long show. We're going to talk about unit sizes.
Yeah. And
you don't know what kind of money you have, what you bet, who you're following. You're doing it yourself. Bet $1, $5 a game because you're going to get buried.
So you remember when we talked about this? Was it the show before we talked about bankroll management? Where
I don't remember exactly when it was.
It was a recent show that
something that comes up quite often, anyways.
All right, just
it might have been last week's show because we were talking about. What do you think your average? How much bankroll should you have? I said like 10 dimes right off the bat. You guys were like 3,000 to 4,000 or whatever.
Well, and again, it aligned with disciplined thinking, though. Yeah. Just because we all have, you're a volume player, me and Jesse aren't, so there's a big difference there in terms of money management. So
I also think for the average bettor, they're going to be volume people. They're not going to be like, I'm going to bet a game today.
But the common theme between all three of us is have a plan and don't bet over your head. You know what I mean? And to be disciplined. Jesse, go ahead.
I mean, I agree with what Sean said about, and especially about the betting amounts. I think most people that are betting $100 a game should probably be betting $20 a game. But I try to keep it realistic because I know that regardless of what I tell these guys and regardless of the advice if they really want to bet $100 a game, they're going to do it no matter what. So,
but if they ask, you have to have an intelligent answer for them and something that you use for yourself. Okay.
And like Sean said, you should have at least 10 dimes as a bankroll, but a lot of people are going to struggle to come up. A lot of people are going to be working.
I mean, because
$1,500, $3,000, this kind of stuff.
Even that's a lot for people.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to scare people away either if they don't have a $10,000 bankroll that they shouldn't be betting.
But they also, here's the thing, though, they're also going to say, well, I'm going to bet $150 a game, or they see something $10 to win 26,000. They think that's normal. Like they think they're going to make that overnight. Well, I could do that.
Well, like you said on numerous occasions, don't pay attention to these post on social media where these sports books are showing this guy needs the 26th leg of a 26-team parlay to make, those are the types of things that they're encouraging you to try to make big money on parlays. So here's what look at, folks. Real simple with me. Your gambling bankroll should be money that, in the worst case scenario, if I was to lose every game for you over the next month and you lost every dollar, which that's not going to happen. I'm not going to lose every game over the next month. But the worst case scenario, if you lost every dollar of that gambling bankroll, would your quality of life change tomorrow? If your answer is yes, then you set a gambling bankroll way too high. Get a comfortable gambling bankroll. Stay within 3 to 5% per bet of your total bankroll. And when I say that, even if your bankroll grows, you keep at the 3 to 5% for at least a year, okay, of what you originally started with. So, again, I would recommend 3%. And if it's 3% and your bankroll is $1,000, that's $30 a game. If it's $2,000, it's $60 a game. I keep it simple. And that, to me, prevents you from, if you jump on board with any of us and we get off to a bad start, you're not out of the game before you even get started. Because Sean's a perfect example, okay? When we started this site, we caught him in a bad 4-week run or something like that, Sean.
Yeah,
now, if you started with Sean back then, and you didn't have a disciplined bankroll, you're calling him every name in the book, telling everybody he sucks. And now over the last 4 months, look what he's done. So you don't want to run yourself out of money before he bottom line is you don't want to run yourself out of money before he is going to have a chance to get hot. And again, I can't emphasize enough, timing is everything when you deal with guys like us, okay? Most times than not, you're jumping aboard when we're red hot. And that's okay. But just understand that kind of 70% run over a 3-week period of time doesn't last. It evens off after a while. And when I see even off, it comes back to the 60 percentile mark, 58 percentile mark. But over the long run, you're going to make money with us. Money management is the biggest reason why bettors fail. Okay? I could tell you that unequivocally. I don't think I get any argument from Sean and Jesse when I say that. All right. What else we got here before we move on? Any thoughts on the Warriors and Nuggets game on Christmas Day? Leaning Warriors, I think they play big against big opponents. Thoughts on any Christmas Day games? I haven't looked that far ahead myself. I'm
definitely looking to fade the Lakers. I do not like the Lakers.
Okay. Jesse, any thoughts?
I'm seeing the look-ahead line at 4.5, which seems pretty low, given the Nuggets are the defending champs. They're playing well this year, and the Warriors, the Draymond issues. I guess they're coming off of a big win over who was it? They beat
Boston. Boston.
Boston, yeah.
Overtime, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't seen enough from the Warriors to want to bet on them against the Nuggets on a nationally televised game at plus 4.5.
I'm not saying every time, but Penn State has enough talent every 3 or 4 years would.
Yeah. Come on, T-Money, stop. Just don't even this guy. Put him in timeout. They have talent. They can't win. They can't win a big game, T-Money.
This is much talent.
Stop.
All right, let's get to Mar. Sorry, T. You're on Sean's
by 10 and still got beat.
You're on Sean's toilet list. Oregon was favored by 10 and still got beat.
But what was that? Let's be honest with that line. So it was 7-10 or 9.5. I'm telling you that was that like they thought Penix was hurt. It had to be he's hurt for that line to go that way.
Well, Penix had played poorly for 4 or 5 games in a row.
Yeah, and Oregon was rolling, Sean. Oregon.
When I say poorly,
we had talked about it when it happened. So we're saying Oregon was going to be a 14 or 17-point favorite at home.
Yeah,
come on.
And Washington had won 8 games in a row by 10 points or fewer.
10 on a neutral, which means you're going to go play up in Corvallis or whatever.
Eugene.
Yeah. That's the other one. I'm sorry. Yeah. What's that? 3-point for home fields? Come on.
I don't know. We all liked Oregon in that game, and we all failed.
Yeah.
So, UCF tonight minus the points. Jake Browning over 21.5 completions. Merry Christmas.
I can do some Central Florida. Why not? Keep Florida going.
Yeah.
I like the over, though. I think it's an overplay.
Talking college basketball here, correct?
No. That's Central Florida's football game.
Oh, I'm sorry. Against Georgia Tech tonight. What am I thinking?
A little late to the party, though. I think it's gone from 4.5 to 6.
I disagree. I like Georgia Tech. We'll see. I do agree with Sean on the over, though. Joe Burrow left Ohio State too. Yeah, well,
we're talking about guys leaving.
Yeah. So, good point, guys. You guys have a great show. Organic. Utah should be a hammer situation for us.
We talked about that yesterday. Was that yesterday the Utah game? Against Northwestern?
Yeah,
a couple days ago, maybe.
I still think it's a tough one there, man. I love the coach, but it's Rose Bowl to where are we at? The Ice Cream Bowl?
Yes, Sports Dogma. We covered this game on Wednesday. It was Jesse's game to cover. We also voiced our opinion on it. So if you want to go back to the Wednesday archive, and you go in the description section, it will show you exactly at what point of the podcast, minute-wise and second-wise, that we cover that game. So if you want to look at that, that would be great. John, that's why they play the game like they say any given Sunday. Good, yeah, it certainly applies. That's why they play the game any given Sunday. When App State beat Michigan in the Big House. Actually, in that game, there was no line on that game because at that time, App State was a division. They were an FCS school, and back in that day, there was only legalized betting in the state of Nevada, and even Nevada didn't have a line on that game because that was the days where they didn't have lines on FBS versus FCS teams. Like the smash button. Yep. Thanks, Ken. So you'll need Sonny Vaccaro. Y'all need Sonny Vaccaro on the show. Yeah. I don't know how much you would help on a. I'd love to talk to Sonny Vaccaro one time. That would be I think any of us would, but not on this particular format when it comes to sports betting. Bauer should sit out the game. Yeah, we talked about that. Quit making Ross mad and listen to his voice. Thank you, Betty, my biggest fan. Love Betty. Anyway, yeah, you know what, Betty? Think about this, though. If these guys didn't get me mad and passionate, how much less entertaining would the show be? You play to win the game. Whatever happens, happens, especially if you're in a great position to win the Natty.
Yeah, but if they're going to sit out, these guys would sit out.
Injury or not, Ronnie Lott played with broken ligaments. How about Ronnie Lott had his part of his finger
cut off,
amputated so he can continue on, not for the season, in one game. Okay.
Mar, you're talking about cats. I mean, we're older guys.
Yeah.
That's our generation.
That's exactly what
come on.
Tom was referring to earlier.
These guys here, we got a load management day, folks. Hold on a second. Oh, I've got to sit out. I got to, come on. Don't compare. There's not guys like that. They're very rare.
Here's your buddy again. You want to answer this?
Easy to fix bowl games. Win a bowl game, players, all of them get a cut. And once you start that, like stupid NBA midseason, players all opting in. Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing with that. What is the cut to the Papa John's Bowl? Or
hold on, didn't one of the bowl teams have to pay a third string quarterback just so they'd have somebody to play in the bowl game? I heard a story that some third string quarterbacks getting paid $30,000 just because they couldn't get anybody to play.
Who's that?
I don't know, but I would say that's definitely within the realm of possibility in this day and age. So. Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up right now and see if I can figure out who that was.
I'm only stirring the pot. 6 is the right number for the college football playoff. That's what these two guys said, Dan.
Yeah.
That's probably why you get me riled up too, Dan, because you think like these two apes. All right, Seth Chills. Wilder in AJ have not fought. They have agreed to fight March 9th if both win their individual titles.
Minnesota apparently had to pay. The rumor was that Minnesota had to pay their backup quarterback to play the third game.
Yeah, there you go. That would make sense. Again, Seth, I'm not on top of the game when it comes to that. I think Wilder and AJ have both fought Tyson Fury, if I'm not mistaken, and that's where the trilogies came in. Thank you for correcting me on that. Interesting. Anything past 6 and we start to lose just how important a single loss is. We can't let teams with 2 losses in. I disagree with that. I don't know.
I mean, you disagree when it comes to
LSU won a national title years ago in a format that only included the two top-ranked teams, and they won the national title. If you remember, they beat Alabama in the national championship game. So I don't entirely agree with that. I do see what you're saying with that, Dan. But I just think we need more room for error with some teams that get off to a bad start in the season. You lose your opening game. What happened if Ohio State would have lost the Notre Dame game and then they lose to number 1 Michigan? Okay. You're going to leave them out of a 12-team playoff because they lost 2 games.
Yeah, because you already lost to 2 teams in the top 10, so we're not going to let you lose a third.
No, it shows me that they're totally capable of beating anybody if they're both 1-score games because they beat Notre Dame on the last play of the game.
Here we go, Mr. Horseshoes. Oh, they put up a good – what year were you born? Were you born in 2015 or 1915, Ross, with this kind of thinking?
All right. Sean, most of Penn State is calling for Franklin's head. I'm in agreement with you. We are horrible. I don't know if you're horrible, Betty, but I don't know if he's the guy to take you to the promised land either. So there you go, Sean. She doesn't hate you, even though you voiced your opinions on Penn State.
Yes, Mar. Straight picks, no parlays. Not too much juice on the betting. I guess it's for Ace, where he's talking about betting advice.
Yeah. I mean, you should hammer positions that provide a situational advantage. I don't totally disagree with that, but anyway, thoughts on Bill's Chargers?
But you don't go all on tilts hammering something.
Yeah. Thoughts on Bill's Chargers total of if you're talking from a money management standpoint. I thought he's talking about a situational standpoint. If you're going to do that, that's why I say the 3 to
5 times your bet size and stuff.
No. That's why I gave you the parameter of 3 to 5%. I would recommend you go 3, but you should never exceed 5.
Up it a little bit.
How's that? I mean, that's fair enough. Thoughts on Bills Chargers over 44? I think Buffalo will score their fair share of points here. I'm not sure if the Chargers will. Again, Easton Stick. He threw for a lot of garbage yards last week, guys. I don't know. I got to play on the side in that game. I do not. Do you have any feeling on the total in this game, guys?
I don't think the Chargers are going to score anything.
Yeah,
I like this better when it was 40 when it opened up. I think it's going to be an over. Bills are going to score in the 30s. They're going to score. They're not in the playoffs. They have to score. Chargers, you give up a 63 piece and get embarrassed. I think you're going to want to come out and score a little bit just on pride. But I think the Bills get their 30. Probably, obviously, like a Bills team total, number 1, and then over.
Yeah. All right. There you have it. I stay on his toilet list, but he knows I know a little something. Nobody does.
He's like
T. You're like my man. Okay.
He's a big money line plus money line guy, so I'm never gonna.
Yeah, exactly.
I tease him a lot because he wants to come in a lot of stuff like with his Lakers nonsense and the Suns
Lakers
are awesome.
On money line for Christmas. So there you go, Jesse.
Yeah,
have
some coal with your Christmas breakfast.
I'm starting to think Jake Browning is going to find himself as a starter. So I agree. I mean. Again, there's still the jury is still out, but when it starts to get into 3 starts where you've performed admirably, if not 4 starts, we'll see what transpires the rest of the way. But he's definitely wrote himself a bigger payday.
This guy's Scott Mitchell. He's Scott Mitchell, Miami Dolphins all over again. He's going to go get it. You've seen how bad are some quarterbacks been. Really, he's going to come in and get a couple wins. He'll get a nice payday. Someone will pay him.
Yep. Late joining from L.A., Rice alum. So what do you think about the Owls bowl game, guys?
I mean, the quarterback's that way. His concussion, he's done for his career.
Yeah, I'm glad.
You know,
I'm glad. I mean, teams like Rice get in a bowl game.
I like
it gets the fan base excited, and they're motivated. You know. So anyway, go ahead. Any thoughts, guys?
I had a Rice over ticket for their season wins, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's just, what do you got? A new quarterback? It's, I don't know, 5.5. This game wasn't on my radar for a side, but sentimentally, I guess, because I've been on them all year.
I wish you a lot of luck, man. Void.
Yeah,
Man V. Jesse, you have any thoughts?
He's an alum too, which is tough. He wants to bet his squad.
Yeah,
it's difficult enough trying to figure out who's going to play in these bowl games for me to want to mess with this particular bowl. So
all right.
It's off my radar.
If you say no 2 lost teams, we forgetting how strong Georgia, Bama, LSU's, Michigan's schedules are.
That's true. That's true right there.
See, that's why I like T. T's got a good mind, man.
This is my point of, now we have all these teams. Well, you lost to this team, you got to put them in.
All right, Premium Picks 101. Disagree, Ross. If a player is a senior, he's proven like Harrison Jr., it's a low chance the player gets hurt in that last game, but those players still can risk getting hurt before making big money. Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. I don't totally disagree with what you're saying. My point being is, Marvin Harrison Jr., I think we could all agree is a top 10 type of first-round pick. Now, if a guy is at the bottom of the first round, early second round type of projection, I think he would be foolish to skip a game with no injury history. He's not a Bowers, the tight end from Georgia, who's been battling injury all year and doesn't want to risk a big payday in a bowl game, not a playoff game. But if it's a playoff scenario and you're a low second round to high first round draft pick projection, I think Premium Picks 101 that you would be foolish to advise a kid to stay out if he's been healthy throughout his career and not give him a platform to elevate himself up even further, because the difference between a top 25 pick and a top 10 pick pans out to be millions of dollars. So we'll see. I mean, and again, look, Jesse could walk across the street after this show tomorrow and get hit by a car, you know? So
the traffic in Thailand, I mean, that's probably more likely than most.
Yeah. And Sean,
cars are like rickshaws over there.
Sean can actually lose his voice in the rest of his career, you know, if he keeps talking the way he's talking. So, I mean, but he still keeps talking. So do I, you know? So Seahawks, Titans under 41.5. I don't know. I'm not sold on the Seahawks defense.
I like the Titans.
Yeah. I think I like what I see from Will Levis and spots, you know. I'm not crazy about that pick, Mar. I'm not saying that I'm going over the total either. Jesse, any thoughts?
I think it's pretty hard to go on on the Titans after losing the way they did last week. I don't like that one.
Just reviewed your Utah selection aligned. Okay, good. I'm glad. Michigan's schedule being strong. Absolutely, Dan. This is a great show. Can you guys hit the like button already? I already have. I appreciate that, Sports Dogma, and I would hope that all you out there would take the time to hit the like button. It doesn't do anything for us other than the fact it shows you a token of appreciation for the time and effort we put in. So rather than Jesse screaming it out today, I'm just going to say simply hit the like button. Sean, you could leave your headset on.
Thank you.
All right. Quick look from me, but I like Rice and the points that Sean.
Yeah, I just looked at it real fast.
Yeah.
Let's get an update on who's their how the quarterback performed his last couple starts.
All right, and we're going to wrap it up here. Titans plus money is a good spot, but I don't trust either team. But I guess the Titans has all the value. The Titans have played, if anything, the Titans have played very well at home this year as compared to on the road. Even though their last road game, they knocked off the Miami Dolphins as a 13-point underdog. So there you have it, folks. Thanks for chiming in today. I think all three of us are pretty happy with all of you chiming in and your comments and questions. And we welcome them every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. We go live, folks. And if it continues to go this well, maybe we'll, move it up to 2 times a week. You never know. But let's start here and put it in your calendar every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Again, the promos we normally do on our show are individual promos. I think you've heard us like 4 times this week. We've done a show together. So you know how well we're all doing in specific areas. And also our specials going on right now, our college football bowl packages. $2.99 will get you the rest of the college football bowl season from any one of us or multiple guys if you want to invest. Nothing wrong with having more than one good handicapper. And then also remember that if you invest in a 3-day package today for $99, you'll get Christmas Day free. And we have Christmas Day NBA going on. We have Christmas Day NFL going on. So a lot of good stuff there. Just go to gamblersworld.net where our single game, multi-game, and all subscription plans of 30 days or fewer are guaranteed that if you don't win, you don't make a profit. Then you will get credited back to your account. All right. So Sean and Jesse, last show before Christmas, boys, I want to wish you and your families nothing but the very best. Have a Merry Christmas. God bless each one of you. You guys are the absolute best. I know I give you guys a hard time sometimes, but this show would not be the same without you boys, because nobody could possibly rile me up more than Sean does. And Jesse, you're an absolute gentleman, and so is Sean. So I know we give each other a hard time, but folks, it's all in respect when we do it. All right, until the next time, Merry Christmas, everybody. Take care and God bless.